We've got some
Hey,
fresh
I'm
new
Luis.
young
And
talent
I'm
doing some
Luis.
things
And you're
that I
listening
know
to the
you
Content
haven't
is
heard
Profit
before.
podcast.
So, how do businesses and creators like us, who did not cheat with hacks and tactics and don't want to be stuck in the content wheel of death, how do we build a modern media team and profit from our content?
In this creators economy, pre-filled templates and content calendars have become the solution for those that are not willing to put in the work and build a real business. Those that get rewards are the ones that create and control their own process.
That is right, and content can be a distraction or your biggest lever. Here, you learn to develop the systems to create consistently, build trust with your audience, and get the attention of those that are willing to give you money.
Go to contentsprofit.com to get started today and join the community. Let's go.
Let's go. That was a good one today. I'm feeling
smooth,
it. That was
buttery
very
smooth.
smooth. And today, guys, we have an incredible guest, and we're gonna be talking all about transforming yourself, building confidence, and increasing your impact.
Oh, baby, those three things apply so much to literally everything in life, from like publishing to business to relationships.
Oh yeah, baby.
I can't wait to dive in
Maybe
here.
to dating.
Well,
yeah.
I'm married, so
Yeah,
off
that-
the market. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry.
I have a girlfriend, but I think that's still considered dating, right? I mean, yeah. You still date with your wife?
Of course, we went had a nice steak dinner on Friday. Baby.
All right,
Let's go. Okay,
let's get back
anyways,
to this,
yeah, sponsor.
Yes, absolutely.
Ah,
I was about
yeah.
to throw you under the bus,
Nope,
but
nope, I'm faster.
absolutely. Today's sponsor is your own, The Biz Bros. Yes, we sponsor our own podcast with Content Momentum. And you might be asking yourself, what is Content Momentum? Well, if you produce a long-form piece of content, just like this one that you're listening to or watching, and you need a plug-and-play team that can multi-purpose it, we are here for you. Slide in the DMs at BizBrosCo on Facebook, on Instagram.
That's right, baby. One-click content systems. That's what it is. Go ahead and follow the show on your favorite platform: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever you listen to your podcast at, and on social media at BizBrosCo. That's when you're gonna see all those golden boulders being dropped every single day.
That is right. And if today's guests help you move one step closer to your goal, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
Back to the grind, baby. Let's go. It's episode 201, and we have another incredible guest and one of our good mastermind friends, which I will even say she's one of a kind, and I hope you are ready for it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Just listen to this. Today's guest is a confidence therapist, a dating coach, and a makeover expert who helps people transform their style, build confidence, and find love from the outside in. I hope you are ready for a total makeover.
Oh, yeah. Not only that, but today's guest is the host of the Charisma Quoting Post podcast. My accent is not very good looking, guys. I apologize. With over 200 episodes, let's go. And she's also a public speaker with a unique business that's helping many people find love.
I'm not gonna lie, I was waiting for you to say that.
I know,
the
that's
name
why you
of the
put it. That's
podcast.
why you put it for me. It's all good.
This is going to be an incredible episode. Please welcome host of the Charisma Quotient podcast, the expert that will transform your style and, according to my girlfriend, hopefully change my style as well, the one and only Kimmy Seltzer.
Oh my God, what an intro.
Surprise.
I'm going to have you on my podcast to do every single intro and outro, please.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, thank you, Kimmy. Those are very kind words. By the way, fun fact, we actually were invited to MC a full event at the end of October. So we're like, what is this? And it's going to be super exciting. So shout out to George Bryan and their team. But yeah, thank you for your kind words.
I know, thank you. I think that's going to be a little bit intimidating. I'm going to need some of this confidence building so I can show up in that stage and deliver, Kimmy. So first of all, for those that don't know who you are, right, and how you got to where you are right now, can you share a little bit about your story?
Oh gosh, how long do we have? I have such a long story. I'll try to do like a modified version because I'm so glad that you're asking about my story, because honestly, it's where my passion comes from, and it's the reason why I love doing what I do. Because as you pointed out, yes, I've been around the block and I've done a lot of things in my professional world. However, it wasn't until I went through my own transformation. I always like to throw myself under the bus. is when really all the magic started happening and really transformed the nature of which I work with people. Because, I was this kind of good girl from Chicago. I like to say I lived a very traditional life, right? I had the picket fence and I practiced as a therapist for many, many years in a traditional sense. Had the kids, a dog, a husband. I still have the kids, by the way, but you see where the story's going. So, yeah, we all pick up and we move across the country here to La La Land. And we land here and we do what all the other people here do. We get a divorce. Joke, obviously. Issues, insert in story. This, you know what I mean? Like when there's this kind of transition happening in people's lives, I think it just really brings to the surface a lot of things that are wrong. Mm-hmm. So, I say that in a joke, but it really just threw me, because up until then, I thought I knew what I was doing with my life, right? And up until then, I used to work from the inside out. I thought I helped many, many people. I'm sure I did, but here I was, like the record just stopped. Yeah. And here I am, a therapist, right? I should know better. I should know how to get out of my own way. Yeah. And I was stuck. I was completely stuck. And I always joke, if like some people were to come to me in that moment in time, I would have said, you think you have issues? Like, let me go on the couch for a second because I can't help you because I can't help myself. Yeah. And the reason why I'm sharing the story is because everything changed in the way that I also, first of all, thought of myself, but also how I help others, because it was a very dark moment in my life and my clothes reflected it. This is where the whole style piece comes in, right? Yeah. So I'll never forget the moment when I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I was horrified what I saw. I saw this frumpy mom. I was still wearing the nursing bras. I was not nursing any longer, but I was still wearing the nursing. Like it just shows you how stuck I was in my mindset, in my clothes, and all my clothes were black and dark and dismal and 3 sizes too big. So even though I had therapy and a great support system myself, I decided, nothing's working. I'm just all up here and I'm not moving in my life. Yeah, and so this is where everything happened. I decided after looking in the mirror that day to go shopping. Shopping therapy. This is like what women do. Okay, nothing fits. I'm going to go and I'm going to up-level myself and get all new clothes. So I go to the store and I'm picking all the same clothes again, black. But I think, I'm up-leveling myself because they're new. No, they're 3 sizes too big and they're black. And so this personal shopper comes up to me and now I call her my angel. She's like, ma'am, I've been watching you and I really think you should try this on. And she holds up this red dress that was 3 sizes too small, I thought. And I said, that's so sweet of you, but it's really not my size and it's so not my color. She says, honey, that is your size. That is your color. Try it on.
Love it.
Bam. It was like I was hit over the head with that red dress. I call it my red dress moment. Yeah. And it really has kind of been the crust of my business because I believe everyone needs to have a red dress moment, even as a guy, but maybe not a red dress, but you know what I mean? It's like having that realization of seeing yourself differently for the first time. And that's exactly what happened. I put it on, I twirl around like Cinderella and I see this like princess ahead of me. And I said, wow, like there was something like a visceral response that happened in my body that was different than anything that had happened up until then. All the talking therapy and all the, like things that I was trying to work out in my head wasn't as effective than in that moment. So I walked out into the world with that red dress on and all this magic started happening. All the stuff that you see in my bio and things, it was like a snowball effect because as I went out there, I realized that there was a symbiotic relationship between the outer and the inner when it comes to confidence, that it's not superficial, that what we reflect is how we feel. And sometimes there's a mismatch with that too. And then all these things started happening where like new suitors began to come my way. I started getting more comfortable being seen. And here is what I really realized is that whole time, the black clothes were acting as a cloak to keep me invisible from you alien men. Like I really thought you were aliens. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to flirt. And it gave me that confidence to be seen. And so this is where my business started. And from there on out, I started helping people with doing makeovers. And I'm kind of like Hitch meets Whatnot.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know those references?
Yes. Favorite movie, by the way, one of the favorite movies ever.
I was about to say that. I'm like, you're like the female Hitch, right? I was like,
I am. And people call me, actually, one of my clients called me Hitchat. And he still like texted me today. And he's like, hey, Hitchat, how are you? And that's so, awesome. Yeah, like, and really the charisma quotient, it's quotient, by the way. Quotient. I know. A lot of people quotient. Like IQ.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
yeah,
I mean, like I know what it meant. It's just a difficult pronunciation.
Yeah, it's not on you. It's in our Hispanic background. Like,
no, Hispanicness.
Hispanicness. Yeah. So.
No, a lot of people say that. No, but the reason why I came up with that, because I love the word charisma, because charisma is that magnetism that just draws people to one another. Yeah. And it's that energy that really creates opportunities for people. And within that formula that I use, I work on 3 areas. Number 1 is your style intelligence, I call it, which is how you present yourself, how you market yourself. It's your body language, it's your wardrobe, it's, it's the movement within you, your energy. And the second ingredient, if you will, is emotional intelligence. So how we express ourselves, how vulnerable we are, how authentic we are in our interactions. Yeah. And then the third pillar is your social intelligence, which is how we interact with each other, manage interpersonal communications. And yes, that includes flirting. So flirting is a big part of my business and helping people just flirt with life.
Oh, yes. Tell me the secret so I can like hold all the cards against Katie. Let's go.
In here, you have it. I'm seeing your superpowers that you share with us, and the wing golf flirt lessons. And when I read that, I was like, I want to know all about it. Obviously, to flirt with my girlfriend, keep it a little bit, keep it spicy. Yeah. So I don't know if we want to dive into that right now because I have so many other questions too.
Before Fonzie goes into the question, because he's the one that actually asks the right questions and the smart questions. I just want to say thank you, Kimmy, for sharing your story, right? Like, it's really challenging for a lot of people that are coming into this world, right? Whether we're business owners or business operators, right? And we're playing this publishing game to share the stories and vulnerable moments, right? Like we talked before about sharing your scars, not your wounds. Maybe sometimes we've shared our wounds, and it's like, okay, well, like for us, publishing, I think is some kind of therapy as well. Like as we've been documenting the journey for the past couple of years, and in the show. But I wanna say thank you, right? Because you're coming, like, especially in the field that you work right now and the type of clients that you help, right? That's very relatable probably for those clients that come to you, right? And it helps them understand where you're coming from and builds that trust. And to share it publicly in a show like this where we don't really know like who's on the other side. And I hope you're listening, like you're taking notes, not only the relationship side, but like on the publishing side. Like, it's okay. We can share these stories. And you just showed like a masterclass on how to share that because you're coming from that very vulnerable moment. So I just want to say thank you and acknowledge that, because it's something that when people start publishing and putting their voice out there, we tend to avoid for the longest time, right? And it's not until we actually go ahead and do that we really connect with people. So that's what I want to acknowledge before Fonzie like throws you like 400 questions. So thank you, Kim.
Don't worry, we're gonna go one at a time.
Can I just say something about that? And thank you for like acknowledging that, because it's one of the things that I teach people when it comes to relatability, both on my podcast and with dating, because that's what connects people to people. Mm-hmm. It's how we feel together. It's not what you know, it's how someone feels. Yeah. And the only way that you can truly have that connection with somebody is to be vulnerable, is to share stories, because that's going to make the other person want to share too. I actually have this whole social engagement formula that I teach people and how to move conversation from fact to feeling. And part of it is sharing the story, because, right, like it's so much more powerful starting that way. I mean, I could have started, I write for the Huffington Post and I've been in this and that. I mean, okay, great lady, like, but who are you, it is the power of connection.
All right, Fonzie, sorry, last thought. I promise.
Wait. In regards to that, right? Like emotions, we've talked about this before. Emotions create memories, right? People don't necessarily remember what you say, but they will remember how you made them feel, right? So it is so important. And the way to create those emotions is through stories, just like you mentioned, going from fact to feelings. I love that.
Yeah, I want to share a quick story too, because as you were explaining this, like in my head, I'm like, okay, this is obviously on the relationship aspect, and like we can really apply this framework really everywhere, right? And I remember, I remember like this very distinct episode where I was in this transition. We were doing some bistros, like that was like part-time kind of deal, but I had a job, right? And finally that job gave me the opportunity to go purchase my dream car. And I'm like, but it's not $100,000 car. It was a Jeep, right? Like I've my older brother, like we have an older brother, Mario is not Luis, by the way, for those listening. He had a Jeep and he's like 16 years older than me. And I looked up to him. I'm like, oh man, that would be so cool, right? And he had it back in Venezuela where we're from. So I was already married, right? And I had to like somehow convince, right? And I'm, Katie for this thing for like to buy a Jeep. And she's like, I don't like Jeeps, like they're horrible gas and whatever, right? And I'm talking in the sense of like selling or making that decision, right? Like, so I'm like, okay, how do I actually do this, right? And we came into an argument, I guess, one night where we were starting to fight, and I'm like, okay, let's stop. Like, why are we fighting about this stuff? Like, you know this, but let me explain to you why. Like, why does this mean so much to me? Where I'm spending X amount of money like that in that spot, like I was almost doubling my car payment, right? But it meant so much, and I explained to her and I told her the story that like I saw my brother like with that every single like day, and it was like so important to me because he was having a good time. He started a business with the Jeep because he was like he had this trailer going to parties, and it just meant a lot. And over like the last 6 years, that was one of the things that kept me moving forward and finding new opportunities. And some people are like, well, you're so materialistic, Luis. I do not care. That was the thing, like the story behind it, and the fact that I now can actually go ahead and afford it, right? And she looked at me and she's like, I never thought of that. Like, why didn't you ever share that story with me? Like, and I got super emotional. Like, I was like almost like about to cry because like it was something that in my life, like it meant so much, right? And she's like, let's do it. Right. And after that, I'm like, wow. And obviously, like, it came out of a very natural and place at that point. But like years after, when we're doing this show and we're talking about these topics, we're like, wow, that's what happened there. Right. So it's like, how can we now share these stories to change people's lives, to serve people better, to like help them through their journeys, right? Like, and that was a very specific thing with my life. But at the same time, like now that we have a business and you, who's a wonderful coach, we can learn a lot from like sharing those like very vulnerable moments and be like, hey, I've been there as well. This is what happened. Let's go to this new place where we can actually do it. So thank you for sharing and enlightening that thing. And I think that was a pretty cool, I guess, example. So now everybody knows that I have a Jeep.
See, no, but that's what's so cool is like once one person shares a story, it makes you think of your own story, and that's what also makes conversation so much more lively and connected. So yeah, that's a great story.
Absolutely. Now, right now, I'm going through my mind. I'm like, what are the stories I can tell my girlfriend, right? To like, to convince her in certain things. Nah, I'm kidding. It's not about manipulation, guys. It's not about manipulation. But Kimmy, so again, I'm going back to the very beginning just because I have so many comments that I need to get out here in the world. But first, you talk about going through your own transformation, right? And we often talk that you need to solve those same problems. And when you look back, you're like, wow, I can help others do the same thing, right? It's like a starting point in many people's businesses, right? In an entrepreneur's life. So with that being said, when was that moment when you look back and you're like, I can help others? And then what was it? How did it feel diving into the unknown of starting that business, right? Starting to help others feel better?
It's a great question because I always say adversity are gifts in disguise, and you don't see it at the time, and it's not until you look back and you go through it and you're like, oh, right, there's the gift. And I think that's exactly what was kind of happening to me is that I was going through so much and the transformation definitely was outside and in so many areas of my life that it's hard to believe that here I am, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like a blink of an eye. And this is what I share with people too. I think the best thing that for me happened both in my business and in, just this transformation is focusing on the now. And I think we get so bogged down with worrying about the past, and that definitely didn't serve me, and, thinking stuck in fear, right? Oh, who will love me? Who, here I am, a single mom. How can I start a business? I'm just a therapist, like all the gremlins, right?
Yeah.
That can paralyze you completely. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we also get bogged down in the future where we worry so much, but what if? And it wasn't until I really became present with each day, like, pimping out an episode each week, on a podcast, for instance, just not being perfect with my website and getting something up, like whatever that was. And I think that presence is really important. So, because I don't know if there was like one particular defining moment. I mean, it started with the red dress, but there's so many other stories.
Yeah.
Here's the metaphor that I use a lot. I almost felt like I was Dorothy with my basket skipping down the yellow brick road. And I kept meeting all these people along the way. And each person, like the Tin Man and the lion, like each was a metaphor, gave me some tools that I would put in my basket. And I'm still searching for Oz. We all are, right? I don't know if we'll ever get there, but there was. And so it depends on what I teach, but I have a story that's attached to each, lesson, skill, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. I love that. And you mentioned again the red dress moment, right? And that caught my attention because so many people, especially, when you go into the entrepreneurial journey, when you start to grow your business, we often say your business grows to the extent that you do, right? It's a personal growth journey as well. And so many people, I would say a big majority, talk about that internal growth, right? Which is absolutely great. I believe in that 100%. And I feel like you're the first one that talks about outside in, right? And I heard this in the episode that you did with Steve Werner, or a good friend, right? And you said, I found out that clothes, right? Like looking good is one of those things, one of the very few things that actually give you immediate gratification, right? And I think now that you mentioned the outside and the inside, that relationship being symbiotic, I was like, wow, that makes so much sense, because I think the outside can be used as a trigger to improve on the inside, right? So connecting the dots with people that is creating content. We face so many people that they are scared of jumping in front of the camera, right? They're like, oh, I don't look good. I don't sound good. All these hurdles inside of their head, right? On the inside. And now I'm thinking, wow, maybe they can overcome those inside challenges, those false beliefs through maybe an outside help, right? Maybe having a cool background that makes you feel like you are in a real studio, or maybe putting on your favorite soccer team jersey to make you feel passionate, right? Like all these things. So why don't we dive into that a little bit in the sense of obviously confidence building, and then maybe how we can translate it into the content creator world.
Oh my gosh. Like we could do another whole podcast on this because I love this topic. And I do get a lot of people who kind of raise their eyebrows when they hear me say, oh, I work from the outside in. It's like, oh, that's so superficial. And like, somebody needs to just like me for me, or I need to just work on the content of my website. All this other stuff is just like extra. And I say simply that it's not changing who you are. And it's not, like saying that those things aren't important, but the way you market yourself so that people get to know who you are is the quickest gateway into like somebody's website, business, confidence, you name it, and love. Quite honestly. And so, there's been a lot of research done about this. I'm not just this like airy fairy LA girl saying, oh, image matters, and because if you look at the definition of image, it's fascinating. James Gray, he wrote a book and he said that image, like a winning image, is how someone perceives you, and that will determine how someone treats you. It's so powerful. I mean, the minute you're walking into a room, people are judging. I know we don't like to think about that, but we are. And now, can you believe first impressions? It only takes 7 seconds now. It used to be 30 seconds a couple years ago. And I think it's even faster with Tinder and Bumble, quite honestly. Like, I think we're going so fast.
The speed of the swipes is incredible. It's so fast.
Right. Well, and within the first impressions, and this is what research says, is that people are making judgments on 2 things. Number 1, the clothes that you wear. Number 2, the attitude that you have, which is your nonverbals. It's your, emotions that are on your face. It's, it's just like the nonverbal and the body language is so powerful. It's 93% of communication that a lot of times we're not even realizing that. So it's not even what you say or your content that is as important as how you show up first.
That is very powerful.
By the way, hold on. Golden boulder moment. Like that was like a golden boulder moment. You're gonna say that it's so much value. Okay, sorry. I got very excited because this is why I got very excited, right? Because I remember an interview that we had with Bart Miller, right? And we were talking about image, right? Bart Miller, incredible entrepreneur too, has been like
the billionaire cowboy,
right? And he's done like so many businesses, right? And one of them is like he styles like people as well. Like he's the personal stylist from Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels, right? Like that's one of the things that he does, right? He does rodeo, and we're talking about identity, right? And how we show up, right? And we're talking about us, like how Fonzie showed up for the very first time to sell like a social media package. He showed up with like a suit, like and he had no beard at the time, so it was like this, like he looked like a 12-year-old with a big nose.
You know how they say you know how they say you look good and you feel good. Well, that suit, I don't think it made me look good, and I wasn't feeling very good, if I'm being honest.
It was, but he sold it, right? Like, and I don't know, maybe it was Petey from the restaurant owner. We don't know, but that's like started like this whole incredible journey, right? And then we decided, like, we're like, okay, we're just gonna be ourselves, right? And ourselves means that we feel good with this t-shirt or soccer jerseys, like all the stuff that you see kind of like in the background, right? And this is us, this is our personality, this is the brand of the show, which makes us feel good. Our personalities get out, and then we connect with people. So, like, as you were saying this, like, this was so like exciting for me, because like the second that we decided to do that, right, and the second that we started feeling like 110%, that's when we started connecting with incredible entrepreneurs. But right, and even though we have like Lego sets and the books and the helmets and the toys and whatever and Content Profit and this equipment, right, like there's so much stuff here, right, that's not stopping us from making the connection with incredible entrepreneurs like you, like all the wonderful guests that we've had on the show, and that has increased our trust. So I want to encourage everybody, not like apply this, obviously, yes, to your relationships, and go to Kimmy and find out more about her and connect with her, but also on your publishing, right? Like, what are you doing to kind of dress up? Like, what's your like publishing red dress? I want to encourage you to find that, right? Because it's so important. The second you start out there as a business owner or somebody that's publishing and you have that confidence, it's going to be incredible. For you personally, for your business, for your relationships, and everything's gonna move forward. Like when Kimmy shared that one moment where like, this is it, baby, let's go. Like, I'm meeting the world, let's go.
Yeah, I love it. And I think what we were talking about, the image, I think that's why the bro marketer, the guys like flashing the Lambos on the big house, that's why it works, right? I think it works for a certain period, and obviously for a very specific crowd. AKA us when we were starting, and we were like, oh yeah, that looks super cool, right? And we would click in every single ad. But it's like, it looks good. People is natural. Like you mentioned, people make judgments, is 100% natural. We judge that. We're like, oh, that is super cool. That guy must be successful, right? Whether they were actually successful or not, or first judgment what it is, right? Because they looked the part, I guess. So Kimmy, we're getting here towards the end of this interview, and
part one,
exactly. We're gonna go part one.
We need a part two.
Yes.
And part 3 and 4 and 5
for infinite
parts. But we're curious. What is an action point that we can leave people with that they can use to start building their confidence when they go in front of the camera, when they're going to create their content. Or, because I do think that confidence drips into other aspects of your life that they can use if they're single, go and, flirt outside and, get some senoritas or senoritos, never know.
Senoritas? Is that a word? I didn't learn that in Spanish. That's one of our...
That's our Hispanicness.
That's our Hispanicness. Yeah, inventing words.
Oh my God. Well, and I love that you're talking about both love and business because at the end of the day, as you can hear, it really is all the same. What applies in your love life applies in business. It's all creating opportunity and looking good and feeling good. It all works together synergistically. So, and then again, the number one thing is the confidence. And here's how I define confidence, and it'll relate to the actionable, is that I believe confidence is experience. That's it. I don't believe there's one person out there that's not confident. It's just that there's probably an area that you haven't had experience in or positive exposure to. So how do you do that? Then you've got to put yourself into action in those areas that you're not feeling good in. So if you're not feeling too good in your style and your wardrobe, it's a little tired, that is something that's so easy to do that will have an instant impact. And I encourage everyone to do a little bit of a closet audit around that. Like if you're in business, that's really important. Is your image serving your brand, right? And if you're single, do you have a sexy dating image, which should be different than your other, areas of your life? And there are 3 things you can do to do kind of that closet audit. Number 1 is looking at the color of your clothes. Color is super powerful. There's a lot of psychology with color. There's certain colors that are attraction indicators. There's also colors that are that indicate power and money. So it's really fun to kind of play with it, but you got to know also which colors look good on your skin tone, because not everybody looks good in every color. In fact, I'll just say a little disclaimer. So ladies, if you're single, just wear red or pink. You will get a click on your picture every single time. I'm just going to say that. And there's research that backs that up. Okay,
Yes.
Number two is the cut of your clothes. Now, the cut of your clothes is really important because that's what's going to give you confidence. For women, there are 5 body types. And if you go to my website, kimmyseltzer.com, you can download my body type guide and you can determine what you are by just measuring your shoulders, your waist, and your hips. And it's really cool. Once you know that, I go over what clothes flatter that figure and what clothes to stay away from. It makes a huge difference in what you see in the mirror. And for men, I have a man's fashion manifesto because men secretly want to know this stuff. It's just that they don't sit there on a Sunday afternoon and talk about that usually, you know? Agree. And so I go over now, men, there's only 3 body types. It's a little more simple, but there's definitely things that you can do to help with your body type. And then the third area is your confidence clothes. Everyone has an outfit in their closet that they feel good in. And just take it out and look at it. What is it that you like about it? Have you been complimented in it? Do you like the color? Do you like the way it feels? So what I just went over is what I call the 3C formula: color, cut, and confidence clothes. And that's something easy that everyone can remember and do right away.
I love it. The 3C. I just have one question. In the 3 types of body of men, is one of those the dad bod?
Wow, cheap shot right there, Fonzie.
That's the 4th body. I think you just made a 4th one.
That's the 4th body. I'm kidding. I absolutely love this.
I'm just going to say that there's just a lot of ladies that love dad bods. I'm just going to put that out there. Just going to put that out there.
Kimmy, I absolutely love this.
Absolutely. We don't discriminate here.
Yeah. I do need to do, every time I move from one apartment to a new one, I do a wardrobe clean. Honestly, it's more where is the clothes that I haven't used in the past year, I'm going to donate it and then I'll keep the rest, right? But I know I need to do this. I know I need to look at it and be in which clothes do I feel confident, right? And I'm not going to lie, full transparency here. I pretty much always wear the same. So My girlfriend has been, I mean, I said it in the intro, right? She has been like, babe, we gotta work on your style, right? So this comes in perfect. I'm definitely gonna send her this episode, and she's gonna be like, let's go. Let's go.
Well, can I just mention something though about that? Because you know, like you have your soccer shirt and stuff. There's also like signature style pieces that, you know, entrepreneurs should have. Like with my red dress moment now, when I do speaking gigs, often I'll wear a red dress because it speaks to my brand and my message.
Absolutely.
You know, everyone can play with that. So maybe it is your soccer shirt, but you know, maybe you have like many different colors, and just so everyone knows, oh, that's him. Yeah. You know, like you see different celebrities and people who are influencers, and they definitely have like a different style that speaks to them and their personality and their brand. So that's another little like part of brand too.
So cool.
Absolutely. I love
so
that.
Cool. We can go places. Yeah. Awesome. Kimmy,
when we do the content is profit swag, you know, the swag store, we are gonna call you, Kimmy, so you can help us with the colors, with the cut, and make it an extremely confident clothes type.
Woo. I would love it. I love it.
Let's do it. As we wrap up, where can people find you?
Wait! Before that, the important question too.
We have 4 minutes, so the important question we'll leave it for part 2.
Okay, we'll leave it for part 2.
Yeah. Oh my god! Now I want to know what that question is. Okay.
Well, we did that on purpose, so you were like, "Yo, please ask me that question."
A little bit of foreplay. I'm not gonna lie. Teasing over there.
Okay.
The Hispanicness.
Wink. Okay, last question for reals. It's like where will you be if you did not publish? You published like over 200 episodes. You've been very consistent with your show, with your podcast. Like, where will you be?
Where will I be? What do you mean? Like in terms of where will I be published?
Personally, like in business, like the role
if you
of
didn't
publishing
share your message.
Exactly.
I, you know, my hopes is I'm working on a book. And so that will be exciting. And that's kind of my next big project. I really hope that we can get out and speak more again. Yeah. I'm hopeful that that can happen as well. And I continue to do a ton of like, you know, just coaching programs virtually. And I do a lot of flirt workshops, and that will continue on. So yeah, and ways of finding me, pretty much I'm Kimmy Seltzer anywhere and everywhere. So KimmySeltzer.com is my website, KimmySeltzer. And all my social media handles are at Kimmy Seltzer as well. And of course, my podcast, Charisma Quotient.
Yes. Awesome. By the way, we're going to leave all the links right below. So all you got to do is scroll down, click in those links. If you can't find them, just send us a quick DM. We'll send them back to you. But pretty easy right there. Kimmy, any last thoughts before we let you go?
Well, all I can say is that, you know, all this stuff can be really overwhelming, you know, whether you're working on your business, your love life, your style, your expression, your flirting. I always say start small, you know, because it's those small wins that add up to the bigger success.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Creating that momentum. And with that, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and follow the show on your favorite platform and on social media at BizBrosCo.
That is right. And it's Kimmy here, help you move one step closer to your goal. And if she make you feel so confident, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.